You feel it every morning, that slow, heavy start, the fog that does not lift until your second coffee, the way your energy drops off a cliff somewhere around 10:30, and suddenly you are thinking about food again even though you just ate. You tell yourself it is stress. You tell yourself it is age. You tell yourself everyone feels this way. They do not. What is actually happening is playing out in your bloodstream, quietly, every single morning, and it starts before you even take your first bite. More than 1 in 3 American adults has blood sugar running chronically higher than it should. Most of them will never know until a doctor tells them at a routine checkup years down the road. By that point, the pattern has had years to take hold. The energy problems, the weight creep, the brain fog, the mood swings, none of that appears suddenly. It builds slowly, silently, meal by meal. But here is what changes everything. Blood sugar regulation is highly sensitive to what you eat in the first 60 minutes of your day. What goes in at breakfast tells your pancreas, the organ that produces insulin, the hormone responsible for moving sugar out of your blood and into your cells, exactly how hard to work. Get that signal right, and your body runs cleanly and steadily for hours. Get it wrong, and you spend the rest of the day chasing energy you cannot quite catch. I am Dr. Steve Collins, and in this video, I am giving you the exact breakfast that research supports for blood sugar stability. 5 specific foods, why each one works at a biological level, and how they function together as a complete system. Stay with me, because the third food on this list is the one almost nobody considers for breakfast. When I tell you what it does inside your body within the first 30 minutes of eating it, I think you are going to be genuinely surprised. That one is worth waiting for. Here is what you are going to walk away with today. Not a complicated meal plan, not a supplement stack, not a diet that asks you to give up everything you enjoy. Just 5 whole foods, already available in most grocery stores, that work together to keep your blood sugar flat and your energy steady from the moment you wake up until well into the afternoon. Each one works on its own. Together, they address blood sugar from 5 completely different biological angles at once. By the end of this video, you will understand not just what to eat, but exactly why it works. And that understanding is what makes the change stick long term. Food. 1C, eggs. Eggs are the foundation of this breakfast, and the reason is deceptively simple. They contain almost no carbohydrates. None, just protein, fat, and a handful of micronutrients your body uses immediately. And that matters enormously for what happens in your blood after you eat. Here's the problem with most typical breakfasts. Refined carbohydrates, white toast, sweetened cereal, flavored yogurt, pastries, orange juice, break down rapidly into glucose, which is the basic form of sugar your body runs on. That glucose floods into your bloodstream fast. Your pancreas sees the spike and fires a large burst of insulin to clear it. Blood sugar drops sharply, and within an hour or two, you are already tired, foggy, irritable, and looking for something to eat again. This is not a willpower problem. This is biology. Eggs interrupt that entire cycle before it starts. A study published in the journal Nutrients found that people who ate eggs for breakfast showed significantly lower blood glucose and insulin responses across the full morning compared to those eating a high carbohydrate meal, even when total calories were matched. The protein and fat in eggs slow your digestion so that whatever else you eat at that meal releases glucose gradually in a controlled, steady stream. But here is the part that surprises most people, and it is almost never mentioned. Eggs are one of the richest dietary sources of choline, a nutrient essential for healthy liver function. Your liver is not just a detox organ, it is one of the primary regulators of your blood sugar, particularly overnight, when it carefully releases stored glucose to keep your levels from falling too low while you sleep. A liver that is working well means a more stable blood sugar baseline before you have eaten a single thing in the morning. Eggs support that directly. 2 eggs. That is the starting point. Everything else builds from there. Food 2, steel cut or rolled oats. I know what you might be thinking. Oats are a carbohydrate, and carbohydrates are the enemy when blood sugar is the concern. That thinking is understandable, but it is incomplete, because the structure of a carbohydrate determines almost everything about how your body handles it, and oats are one of the most important examples of why that distinction matters. Steel cut and rolled oats, not instant oats, not the flavored packets with added sugar, contain a specific type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Soluble fiber dissolves in water, and when beta-glucan hits the liquid in your digestive tract, it forms a thick, viscous gel that coats the lining of your intestines and physically slows the absorption of glucose into your blood. Let that image sit for a moment. A physical barrier between the food you just ate and your bloodstream, slowing the entry of sugar down to a controlled trickle instead of a rush. A review in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition looked at multiple controlled trials on beta-glucan and found consistent, meaningful reductions in the blood glucose spike following breakfast. Not marginal reductions, significant ones. And with repeated intake over time, the same research showed improvements in insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells become better at responding to insulin and clearing glucose efficiently. The benefit compounds. In practical terms, this is the difference between a sharp blood sugar spike that crashes into a slump by mid-morning and a flat, steady curve that keeps your focus and energy running cleanly for hours. One important detail: preparation matters. Instant oats are processed in ways that break down that fiber structure and dramatically speed up absorption. They are also commonly packaged with added sugars. Steel cut or old-fashioned rolled oats are what you want. Cook them plain and add your own flavoring, a pinch of cinnamon, which has its own emerging evidence for blood sugar support, or a small handful of berries. The oats do the heavy lifting. And before I move on to the third food, the one I mentioned at the very beginning, I want to stop for just a second and ask you something. Have you ever noticed that your mornings are inconsistent? Some days you wake up clear-headed and sharp. Other days you feel heavy and foggy from the moment you open your eyes, even after a full night of sleep. Yes or no in the comments right now. It takes 2 seconds because that inconsistency is almost never random. It traces directly to what you ate the morning before. And once you see that pattern, you cannot unsee it. Food. 3. Chia seeds. This is the one. If you have ever walked past chia seeds in the grocery store without giving them a second look, I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. Gram for gram, chia seeds are one of the most fiber-dense foods on earth. 2 tablespoons, a single serving, contains approximately 10 grams of fiber. To put that in context, the average adult in the United States eats around 15 grams of total fiber in an entire day. You can get 2/3 of that in one small ingredient stirred into your breakfast. But it is not just the quantity of fiber that makes chia seeds exceptional for blood sugar. It is the type. Chia seeds are exceptionally rich in soluble fiber, the same category as beta-glucan in oats, and when they absorb liquid, they expand and form a dense gel that is 12 times their original weight. That gel moves through your digestive system and acts as a buffer between carbohydrates and your bloodstream. It does not just slow absorption, it measurably changes the entire post-meal glucose response. A clinical study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition tested this directly. Researchers added chia seeds to white bread, one of the fastest blood sugar-raising foods available. The glucose response after eating was significantly reduced. The bread had not changed. The chia seeds changed how the body processed it. That is how powerful this mechanism is. Now, here is something most doctors will never bring up in a routine appointment because it goes beyond fiber. Chia seeds are a meaningful source of alpha-linolenic acid, which is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that has no visible symptoms but simmers constantly beneath the surface, is now widely recognized as one of the main factors that impairs insulin sensitivity. When inflammation is present, insulin becomes less effective. Blood sugar stays elevated longer after every meal, every day. Omega-3 fatty acids directly support the reduction of that background inflammation, making your cells more responsive to insulin and improving the environment your blood sugar operates in. And the practical barrier to using this ingredient is essentially zero. Stir 2 tablespoons into your oats before cooking. Blend them into a smoothie. Mix them into Greek yogurt the night before and let the gel set. In the morning, you have a thick, creamy, filling meal requiring no preparation at all. No cooking, no extra time, about 5 seconds of effort. This is the one most people are leaving on the table. That changes today. Food 4. Avocado. What I am about to explain about avocado is something that even people who eat it regularly rarely understand fully. The mechanism behind why avocado supports blood sugar has very little to do with what most people assume. It is not a superfood in some vague marketing sense. It works through a specific and well-documented physiological process called gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves your stomach and moves into your small intestine, where glucose is actually absorbed. Fat slows that rate, meaningfully. When you eat healthy fat alongside carbohydrates, the carbohydrates move through your system more slowly. Glucose enters your bloodstream in a gradual, managed flow instead of a sudden surge. The post-meal spike is reduced. The energy curve flattens. Think about the last time breakfast actually kept you full and mentally sharp for 3 or 4 hours without any drop in between. That feeling is almost entirely created by the fat and protein content of the meal, not by how much you ate. A 2021 study in Nutrients tested this precisely. 2 groups ate identical toast. One group added half an avocado. 2 hours later, the avocado group had significantly lower blood glucose and insulin levels. Same bread, same portion. The avocado changed how the whole meal was processed. There is more. Avocado is one of the most accessible dietary sources of both potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals with direct roles in insulin signaling. Low magnesium in particular has been consistently linked to reduced insulin sensitivity in research. When magnesium is insufficient, the insulin your body produces becomes less effective at doing its job. Avocado addresses that gap through food, not supplementation. Half an avocado, sliced over your eggs, next to your oats. The preparation time is 30 seconds. The return on that 30 seconds is hours of steady, clean energy. Food. 5. Unsweetened Greek yogurt. The final piece of this breakfast works in a way that is completely invisible, but the evidence behind it is growing fast. Plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt contains live probiotic cultures. Probiotics are beneficial bacteria, and in recent years, research into the gut microbiome, the enormous complex community of trillions of microorganisms living in your intestinal tract, has established a striking and increasingly clear connection to blood sugar regulation. The bacteria living in your gut appear to influence how efficiently your body processes glucose, how responsive your cells are to insulin, and even how much glucose your liver releases between meals. This is one of the most rapidly developing areas in metabolic research right now, and the findings consistently point in one direction. Your gut health and your blood sugar are not separate systems. They are deeply, directly linked. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutritional Science found that probiotic intake produced consistent, meaningful improvements in fasting blood glucose and markers of insulin resistance across multiple studies in adult populations. Greek yogurt delivers those bacterial strains in a whole food matrix. Nothing extracted, nothing synthetic, no capsules required. And beyond the probiotics, Greek yogurt carries nearly double the protein of regular yogurt, the result of the straining process that removes excess liquid. That protein contributes the same blood sugar buffering effect as the eggs, slowing digestion and smoothing the glucose response across the whole meal. But here is the real question, and I want you to sit with this for a moment. Why do we never talk about breakfast as a complete system? Every single food on this list works independently, but they also work together in a way that is greater than the sum of the parts. The eggs and yogurt provide protein. The oats provide slow-release, fiber-bound carbohydrates. The chia seeds form a physical gel that slows absorption across the entire meal. The avocado supplies healthy fat that flattens the glucose curve and delivers the magnesium your insulin depends on. The Greek yogurt rebuilds the gut environment that determines how well your body processes sugar at a cellular level. Each food addresses a different biological mechanism simultaneously. That is what makes this breakfast different from simply eating something healthy. I told you at the beginning that the third food on this list was the one almost nobody thinks about for breakfast. And I want to close that loop now. Of everything covered in this video, chia seeds are the ingredient I hear least about when people talk about managing their energy and blood sugar. Eggs get mentioned. Oats are well known. Avocado has a strong reputation. Greek yogurt has earned its place. But chia seeds remain consistently overlooked. And when you look at what they actually do inside your body, the gel formation, the glucose buffering, the omega-3 anti-inflammatory effect, the evidence is as strong as anything else on this list. In some ways, stronger. 2 tablespoons every morning, that is it. Stirred into oats, blended into a smoothie, or mixed into yogurt the night before. 10 grams of soluble fiber, meaningful omega-3 support, a measurable reduction in the blood sugar spike after every meal that follows. All from something that costs less than $1 a day and takes 5 seconds to add to whatever you are already making. That is the one I wanted you to stay for. I hope the wait felt worth it. Here is the single most important idea from everything in this video. Blood sugar stability is not about eating less. It is not about cutting entire food groups or following a complicated protocol. It is about giving your body the right combination of nutrients in the morning so it can regulate glucose efficiently on its own, the way it was designed to. Your one action today is straightforward. Look at what you normally eat for breakfast. If it is mostly refined carbohydrates, cereal, white toast, sweetened drinks, pastries, swap in just one food from this list tomorrow morning, not all 5, just one. That single shift is enough to begin changing the pattern. Start with what you already have in your kitchen. If this kind of content is genuinely useful to you, I would love for you to subscribe. I make these videos specifically for people who want to understand the science behind how their body works, not just be handed a list of rules. The next video covers something that happens inside your body every single night while you sleep, something that directly affects your blood sugar the following morning, and that almost everyone over 40 is unknowingly getting wrong. It is not what most people expect. I will see you there.